This is Daniel Gaffone for Eat, Sleep, Box and Repeat. We're back on the beautiful Bournemouth beach again. I'm joined again for the second time in 2 days by Adam Smith. Adam, before we start the interview, I just realised watching the interviews back, you were on holidays in Ireland.
I was, and should still be. I've come off my holidays. We go to West Cork, which is one of our favourite parts of the world. My family, my wife's family, have a cottage there. Her grandmother was from a place called Larner, which is near Drina, which is near Dunmanway, which is quite near Skibbereen, near Clonakilty. Are we getting warm with some of the places you know? No, it's the middle of the countryside. It's a very remote island. Brian Peters and I went out on a boat one year. Matt Macklin's been over, he knows where it is, but it's a beautiful part of the world. It's a hidden gem, and we absolutely love going there. We've got a lot of relatives. We have a basic old cottage which hasn't got any TV or phones, or it's the old fire, and it's just great, and it's an escape really, and it's a chance to sort of unwind and sort of enjoy life a little bit out of boxing. I'm afraid boxing just gets you back, doesn't it? And I was there 2 days and I'm back here now. So I'm returning on Monday for a week, and then, there's so much going on that I can't be away too long.
I'm sure it's not ideal, your holiday being cut short, but it's not so bad here.
Listen, it's lovely, isn't it? It's hotter than it was yesterday on the beach in Bournemouth. It's fantastic. Ben Shalom's boxer team have put a terrific media event on for 2 days. I mean, the press conference yesterday, and the amount of people that came down and could enjoy it. You had the presser, you had them working out in the ring. It was a real experience for people down in Bournemouth. Chris Billam-Smith has obviously wanted to fight down here for a long time, but I think it's also a real opportunity that the locals can come out and sort of just really have a good 3 or 4 days of getting involved in boxing, finding out the stories. It's terrific, and of course the British seaside and a bit of sun as well. It's fabulous. It's really good to be down here.
We got another good turnout today. I'm always interested when, especially when you're in person, you try and gauge body language. Is anyone tight at the weight? I'm not sure we could gauge too much to the two main event fighters anyway. Was there anything you saw in either fighter that made you maybe sway your thinking, anything like that?
No, they're both professional. They're both terrific ambassadors for the sport, and they've trained incredibly hard. Isaac Chamberlain's taken himself away. Chris Billam-Smith, we know, under Shane McGuigan's tutelage. They will be in tip-top shape. They look fantastic, the pair of them on the scales. I actually saw Chris in the gym earlier this morning. He was just doing a check weigh. Everything was absolutely fine. A lot of pressure on his shoulders coming to the hometown, having the fervent support, but that can work in 2 ways. It can get you over the line in a tough fight, but it can also just make you that little bit more nervous. And Isaac's got nothing to lose. It's a real opportunity for him after it didn't work out on his other big night against Lawrence Okoli. So I'm sure it will be a fantastic main event and a cracking card. The likes of Ben Whittaker and his much anticipated professional debut. Cannot wait to see Ben begin. Just talking to Sugar Hill and all the work they've been doing behind the scenes, and I think Ben is going to transform boxing, and the person I really think is going to transcend boxing and transform it is Caroline Dubois. I think she's going to be incredible over the next 3 or 4 years. She's on the card. Of course, Big Fraser's back off injury, and he's getting his heavyweight road started, and the journey sort of underway, and he's just such a great character to have around. It's a fantastic. You've got Hassan Azim, you've got Mikhail Lawal, Joe Pigford, bit of local talent, bit of talent that's come down. It's going to be a fantastic night. I think the atmosphere will be amazing in there on Saturday.
You mentioned Fraser Clark there. We saw a bit of handbags with him and Bracamonte. Now, Bracamonte, people may be familiar from, he sort of gave Dave Allen all he could handle a few years ago. Most recently fought Jarrell Miller, exactly. Ironically, the kick drugs out of boxing convention will not go there, but. Yeah. For your second fight, that's no gimme. Bracamonte will come there with ambition. He's a lump of a fella. He's durable. What do you make on that fight?
I've been asked a lot about the matching of these young Olympians because it's very difficult. They were elite fighters. They've fought all around the world, and I know, for example, Lauren Price could probably win a world title in weeks, not months and years. And the trouble is that they've got to become professional fighters. So there's a happy medium. Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum, all the promoters over the years have had great matchmakers, and it's all about when to sort of pull that trigger, when to move them up in levels. But I think that these fighters will be moved quicker because they were a standout team. Someone like Fraser obviously is older, he's in his 30s. We can't hang around with him, and I think this is a really good test, his second fight. As you said, fought Dave Allen. Jarrell Miller had a tough first 6 rounds were really tough with him. So I think this is a good marking stick. early on in his career for Fraser. He's had the hand injury, so will he be able to get rid of him? Will he have a tough, hard, duel? What will he learn? It's all about that. It's all about the education at this stage. But I think that these fighters will be moved quicker than they were 10, 15 years ago. Such is the professionalism around amateur boxing and the wonderful Team GB set up in Sheffield, and how they're all sort of come through as pretty mature young adults and athletes in many ways, in communication, in nutrition, in the way they look after themselves, the sparring they get up in Sheffield. I think that batch, I noticed it in 2012, again in 2016 with the likes of Boazzi and Kelly, and all of those are coming through. I've noticed it more this time in 2020, in 2021 and 2 and 3 and 4. And as we move forward, I think these fighters will have to be matched harder earlier.
Sure, I speak for not just myself when I say I'm really looking forward to seeing the progression. Just a couple more things while I have you here, Adam.
Sure.
We saw yesterday Dazn announced that they would be broadcasting the Jake Paul-Hasim Ratman fight in the UK. They've also signed a 3-fight deal, I believe, with KSI for his fight. I just wonder, you're a boxing purist, what are your thoughts on it's clear now that this influencer boxer is not going away. The numbers it drives are hard to ignore. For example, we saw there Joshua Buatsi versus Craig Richards, amazing trade fight, 2 world level light heavyweights, and they could barely half sell the O2, and I believe KSI is more or less sold out for a fight in 3 weeks. What are Sky's positions on it? What's your position on it personally?
You're coming at me as a boxing purist. I'm also somebody who loves change and loves adaptability, and I was right behind the decision to put KSI and Logan Paul on Sky a while ago. It was our first venture into this. I listened to the experts at Sky on the social and digital side. I've got 3 kids and they're on all the platforms, whether it's TikTok or whatever, and I first sort of was woken up to this when actually Isaac Chamberlain and Lawrence Okoli were fighting at the O2, and I said to my son Oscar, who was about 9 or 10 at the time, and I said, who do you think wins tonight? And he said KSI, and I said, who's KSI? And I was obviously in the boxing world, and he said, how do you not know who KSI was? He's got 4 million followers, he's the sideman, whatever. That started the education. Spencer Oliver was actually involved in that fight with KSI and Joe Weller, and obviously we worked with them, and I loved it. I loved working with them. I loved working with all of them, Ethan and Joe and Jake and Logan. Logan particularly was such a great interviewee. Went to his house in LA. KSI, fantastic. Obviously he's very close to Vidal Riley. We've got Vidal Riley coming through, and we're looking at his development on the social scene. So of course we're going to be looking at those markets. We can't do everything. We've got a lot on at the moment, and obviously Dazn have got to do huge amounts to make their business successful. And it's no surprise to me that they've picked up the Jake Paul fight and they picked up KSI because they're trying to attract that younger audience. But it's something we're keeping a good eye on, and it's something we're always open to at Sky, and I'm sure everyone at Boxer are as well. They're a young, innovative team. We want to make sure that we get a good splattering of entertainment for everybody, whether you're a boxing purist or not. And I think we proved that with showing Logan Paul against KSI, and again showing Logan Paul in that exhibition with Floyd Mayweather. So I think we've dipped our toes into this, and I'm sure we will again.
Do you not think there's a danger perhaps of the trade fights, your Billam-Smith, Chamberlains, that the actual boxing, that the real high level boxing is going to become subservient and second purely because of the numbers that these influencer fights generate?
No, I don't. I think that there's something in it for everybody. I think that the young like obviously the story. My kids have got me hooked on Love Island, and it's just a TV show that you just want to watch because it's just, I don't know, it's escapism or whatever it is. But people have different interests. People want to be entertained in different ways, and I get it. And I think the KSIs, the Joe Wellers, who I'm good mates with, and Ethan and all of them, I just think that they're great for the business. Logan's a fantastic guy. He's an entrepreneur. He tried it at acting, it didn't work, and then he worked extraordinarily hard to put video content out every day, and it's worked for him. Good luck to the guy. And I think that I can see why. My kids came down to the Logan Paul KSI press conference in East London. My little girl was interviewing KSI, and it was fantastic. So I do get it. I am aware of it, obviously, but I do think it's important. Boxing is a sport that's gone through. It's got deep history. And you ask the casual sports fans, when a heavyweight fight's on, like Usyk AJ2 in 3 weeks' time, traffic will be stopped, and that's where people really realise. And so your sports fans are always going to have that. And I think that the key is that you get the tournament shows, you get the YouTube shows, you get the trade shows, you get the high-end shows, and that we keep this movement happening in boxing. That there is, the different pathways for people to enjoy it, and I think it's important for us to be aware of of growing trends and how things go forward, and how the young, that sort of 16 to 25 age group, are really going to adapt and what they want to see when they're in their 30s and 40s.
You mentioned earlier Vidal Riley. Now, he's an example of someone who's blew up on the social media side of things, but he's a very established boxer, great amateur career, beat Chris Billam-Smith in the amateurs. Is that an example that younger fighters should maybe look to follow? Because it's clear that this is the way the world's evolving, and it's as much about your profile as it is your ability.
100%. I think the two things you need to become a great fighter are talent and dedication. Probably more dedication even than talent, but you look at the greatest fighters, the Mayweathers, the Calzaghes, they just had so much talent, and they did more dedication than the others. So I think that's a really important thing. But another thing is character. You've got to have charisma, which is why we're so excited about someone like Ben Whittaker, because some people are going to like him, some people are going to hate him, but he's going to be talked about. He's got that compelling sort of allure about him. He says things, and I think it's really important, that whole communication, the narrative, the stories, it's all about that. So I think young fighters should be looking at how they can grow their social platforms, how they can do things a bit different, what nickname they're going to have, what they're going to do differently in the ring, what they're going to do outside the ring, what sort of person they're going to be. They're going to be the good guy, the bad guy, they've just got to work it out. And I think the women's ascent as well, and that obviously culminates in a massive night on September the 10th, seeing the likes of Savannah Marshall, Claressa Shields, Michaela Meyer, all of them at sort of top level, and the young coming through as well in their footsteps. It's fantastic what Katie Taylor and all the others have done in the sport. I think that's really important as well, so the women can look at that. You can do it now, and I think that if you're growing your profile, you're telling your story, you're fighting hard, you're dedicated. I've seen a lot of these athletes, they don't drink now, it's changed. They're much more body conscious, it's about self-image, they're healthier in many ways, they're at the gym more, and obviously that has downfalls on social media. Let's not get political about this, but I've got teenage girls, and it's difficult. They're putting their pictures on the internet, and everyone's trying to look better than the next person, and that comes with difficult issues. And you have to remember that social media is only one outlet. You have to keep fit. You have to sort of engage in other activities away from screens. I think that's so important. But I think the balance is now that these athletes getting into boxing are fitter. They're less keen on a sort of many nights out than they used to be, and of course they can have their holidays, their time off, but they're more keen on sort of keeping in great shape, and I think that's a really good sign. But also they have to build their profile in the right way, and that's something that I'd encourage.
Just last one from me, Adam. You mentioned the card on September 10th, the all-female card headlined by Shield Marshall. Just a couple of questions on that. Widely received, I think, as a whole, but there were a couple of pockets online where people were saying that the fact that it was an all-female card almost sort of distinguished it from male boxing and differentiated it. Just firstly, a response to that.
Yeah, look, I can understand. When we do something different, you're always going to get people that have their own opinions, and that's what this sport and this world's all about, and that's what social and digital platforms do. They allow people, fans, to say what they want. And I was just chatting to a few fans who are going tomorrow night, and they all have their opinions, and that's what it's about. But obviously we're a business at Sky, Boxer are a business, so we've got to decide how we feel and how we want to push things on. And I think it is really important for Sky at the moment that women's sport is being seen in the right way. I've been a massive advocate of women's boxing. Jane Couch back in the day, she should have been a big star, but the matches weren't there. She almost came too early before her time, but she deserves a lot of credit. Katie Taylor's the flag bearer, and Tasha Jonas, and all the Chantel Camerons and Savannah Marshalls and Terry Harpers that have followed, and now you see it's brilliant. We've got Caroline, Lauren and Karis. I'm as excited about as the women as I am the men. So for us it was really important that we had a show where the elite women could showcase their skills, and for a company like Sky it was important that it was a different sort of look. The business would have got behind us if it was just Claressa and Savannah maybe, and a couple of the other females, and then maybe half a men's card. Of course it would be a fantastic night, but I think the Sky business will get behind us even more because it's just focusing on great women, and I think that's so important. And I think it's fantastic that we've got Tasha Jonas with us, as well as Vidal and Matt and Johnny. We've got that balance, that mixture. But it's great when the women now are putting on these. Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano's epic, and we hope Claressa and Savannah will be every bit as good. There's the rivalry, the history, the story there. It's very much a main event. Then you're bringing Michaela over. You've got Alicia Baumgarten, who's with Matchroom as well, so we'll bring it on. I'd love Katie to come. I think she's going to be training in America. I'd love Terry Harper and Chantel to be there. I'd love them all to be there. I think it's a night to celebrate women's sport. Yeah. And you know what? I believe the Lionesses will win on Sunday, and I think if we get them all ringside as well, it's a fantastic night. And I think it'll be a night seen as a pivotal night for women's sport. So yeah, that's why we've done what we've done.
Yeah, I've heard you say previously that Sky will be putting the full weight of the business behind it. The Sky Sports News, the push in there, all channel. Is there a danger? You push this, you promote it. It's obviously the selling point is this is an all-women's card, and the fights don't deliver. And when we all expect Shields Marshall to be a great fight, but nothing's certain in boxing. You never know how a fight's going to pan out. Is there a danger that if the fight don't deliver and you have pushed this as with the whole weight of the business, that'll put people off long term from women's boxing?
When I used to run the boxing team, I said to the guys and girls every time at the last production meeting before a big show, I said, thank you for all your work, go for it tonight. We can't do anything when that bell goes to influence the action. That's up to the fighters themselves. We hope, we can predict, we can think. We all thought Carl Brook would be an absolute 50-50 classic, and what it turned into is a great performance for Carl Brook. No one knows, and that's the beauty and the unpredictability and why we love the sport so much, because who knows what will happen on September the 10th. But I'm pretty confident that we've got elite women on the card. I think there's some fantastic matches, and I think it's going to be an amazing night for sport. So I'm not too worried about it. I do think that Shields Marshall will be a fabulous fight, and I think we'll be able to do it again. Obviously, I worked with Savannah very closely after she beat Claressa back in 2012. She then froze at the Olympics. She had to go through a whole huge amount of rebuilding process, and now she's where she is. She's in the right headspace. Claressa's in the right headspace. Expect an incredible main event supported by a fantastic card, and I think it'll be a night to remember.
For what it's worth, I do think the card will be fantastic. Adam, I do appreciate being so generous with your time again. I'll let you go. Thanks very much.
No problem at all.
Cheers, Adam.